Yes, here we go. All right, better believe it. Better believe it. Brigham Avery is here. Geno Bisconti is ready with Geno's picks. And
Yep, done.
I got to tell you, everybody, I mean, only real professionals and real a-holes bet on preseason football. But guess what? That's what it is. And the season begins. I can tell you the scariest thing my wife has heard in months is that there's an NFL game tomorrow.
Man.
She had she was so certain that we were through this. We were done with it. It was a Super Bowl run for the Eagles. All right, we got some time to breathe. And all of a sudden it's July. And I'm whispering, there's a game tomorrow. We've got the Hall of Fame game here. Look, and not only is it not just any Hall of Fame game, and last week we talked about the Chargers, of course the Cowboys as well, but it's a Chargers game. They get the extra preseason game for this season along with the Lions, and I just can't wait. Now, before we jump into this, Geno, and we really get to what you're going to tell us, which I cannot believe, and I'm so excited that you get to already give us a preseason football bet, that we made it this far, and we're here. But before we do that, I want to give Brig a chance, because this is a weekend. Now, I don't know if either one of you have done this. If either one of you have actually done a Canton weekend when there was a Hall of Fame induction, it's pretty spectacular. I've done it twice. I was lucky enough. I was invited to Warren Moon's Hall of Fame induction, which,
wow.
Yeah. Tremendous. Lee Steinberg inducted him. It was we were doing a show with Warren at the time, me and JT the Brick. We had an incredible time at that. And by the way, that was Troy Aikman getting in also. That was an unbelievable weekend. And Warren was just such a gracious and tremendous person. I loved it. But Brig, before we get into the game, and yes, there is a game tomorrow. So by the time people are watching this in the replay many, many times, there will be a game today. This game is happening. The season is starting. Preseason or not, NFL football is here. But Brig, in regards to what the weekend is, it's going to be much more memorable, not for what happens on the field, but for what happens on Saturday when we watch the players get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Brig, it's a hell of a class we got going in. And I wanted to come to you first to just look at, what do you want to say about this class?
First of all, it's so great to see you guys back on a Wednesday. Wonderful to see you on Hump Day, both of you guys. Biscotti, can't wait to hear what you're talking about gambling-wise. Batesh, thanks so much for that alley-oop to me, because I will tell both of you guys, this is perhaps the most eclectic and perhaps the greatest NFL football Hall of Fame class perhaps ever. If you look at Sterling Sharp playing from 1988 to 1994, then having to retire because of a broken neck, and the guys, these are synonymous with Sterling Sharp, so synonymous with the young Brett Favre, and with Majikowski, the Packers having a resurgence leading to that Super Bowl in 96. And then you look at Eric Allen. I know, Batesh, very close to your heart, number 21 defensive back of the Philadelphia Eagles. By way of the desert through Tempe, he came to the city of brotherly love, was a huge part of Buddy Ryan's defense with Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Seth Joyner, so on and so forth. I don't think they never won a playoff game, but I will tell you what, that defense just cemented what he did, the longevity of what he did, what he represented. And then Biscotti, just near and dear to your heart, Antonio Gates. He is, I will say, looking at his stats, I mean, I knew this, and it's perfect. He came in 2004. So close to when Phillip Rivers, yes, shoot that thing off, baby. Fire the cannon, Bisconti.
Shoot that helmet off, baby. Oh, never mind.
Let me tell you something. I got a question for you, Brig. You're talking about Antonio Gates, and I want to ask you both a question here, because Antonio Gates, it's not only
with Phillip Rivers, or with Rivers, so they kind of match that together. And then finally, I could not finish about Jared Allen, that Viking with that lasso. He was such a synonymous Viking. I want to say this, Batesh. I just had to interrupt you for this. Thank you. He should have played, you guys. Can we agree Jared Allen should have played for the Purple People Eaters and Bud Grant? He fit in so well with the bear sleeves, the lasso, that whole thing. That class, so eclectic, so great. I'm just so glad we got to see this. Sam, please go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, two things, Brig. You mentioned a guy so near and dear to my heart. I mean, Eric Allen, not only the Eagles, but my career in broadcasting started where I was covering the Raiders, and a dear friend of mine, still JT the Brick, actually does the games now with Eric. Eric is actually a broadcaster on the Raiders team as well. So this is going to be a spectacular weekend for JT in Canton with Eric, part of that induction. We're so happy. And, of course, the early day of me watching the Eagles with Randall Cunningham at quarterback, Eric Allen, a humongous part of that. And then to have my broadcasting career start with Eric in the backfield with Charles Woodson. Imagine Gruden with two Hall of Fame corners there with Eric Allen and Charles Woodson. I mean, pretty spectacular there what they did and going to the Super Bowl with the Raiders.
Kiss JT's ring, Sam. It's going to be special. He He brought it, and I tell you what, isn't it special how broadcasters go along with announcers nowadays, and they're such a significant, just like you are, Sam, right? You got invited to Warren Moon's Hall of Fame induction party.
I'm telling you right now, I've never. I mean, look, an envelope showed up in the mail, and I'm like, "Wow, whose wedding am I going to?" And I opened it up, and I said, "Wow,
never has to buy a meal in Edmonton. Do you hear me? He can drink for free in Edmonton. Anybody who does that, for Christ's sake, Sam, that's saying something. Way to go. That's not bad company, Batesh.
No. That was so special. I'm so excited. And Antonio Gates, Geno, before we get to this game, and I know we want to really chew on True Lance getting 3/4 of football from Trey Lance, which we may have never seen before, which we may get on Thursday. But Geno, Antonio Gates. So I was going through draft picks since the year 2000. I was doing this
We'll
because
find him anywhere.
Well,
Won't
here,
find him anywhere.
So Geno, I'm going through and I'm saying, all right, each year I was doing a little practice in. All right, every year, is it the number one overall draft pick we remember, or is it somebody else? And of course, every year it's somebody else. I mean, there's some, right? I mean, Stafford. There's a few where it's the number one, but usually you're looking, and I'm going through, and one of the years I'm looking at the draft, and I'm saying, wait, I swore Antonio Gates entered the league this year. I had forgotten. If he's not I mean, when you talk about the greatest undrafted players of all time, I mean, of course, Kurt Warner deserves it. Kurt Warner's probably on the mantle. That would be okay to say Kurt Warner's there, but I'd be hard pressed.
Undrafted. Brady was 6th round.
Exactly.
Almost practically undrafted, boys.
But drafted. Truly undrafted. Kurt Warner, and to me, it's Antonio Gates next.
Yeah,
that's it. Right?
They had such incredible. That's what would drive me nuts about this team. They had everything but the coaching. They didn't know how to. I think Malcolm Floyd was also undrafted. I'm fairly certain M80 was also undrafted. Okay,
was, and I'll tell you what. Have you ever seen anybody make more circus? He was like Randy Moss at the tight end position. The catches he would make, the athleticism. I mean, he was. I've watched his highlights recently. He was a freak of a talent.
He was the kind of guy that he played basketball. I can't say he played in the NCAA tournament. He caught the ball. I don't care.
He never played football in college. He didn't play football in college, I heard, or until some kind of
watch. Right, but you watch guys like Fitzgerald made it. He's the one that I always thought of. And Bolden, those two cards, they would high point the ball. He didn't high point the ball. He boxed you out and got it. He used his huge body and his soft hands. You remember college, Sammy? Huge body and soft hands. You'll get a Christmas card. Huge body, soft hands. It's not even that funny. Huge body, but I will tell you. If whenever it was third down, I would just stand there and watch TV. 85, and we throw to 85.
What's remarkable about that, if you think about the AFC West at that time in tight ends, I mean, think about it. You've got Shannon Sharp with the Broncos.
Never heard of him. Heard of him.
Tony Gonzalez with the Chiefs, and Antonio Gates. Really. Think about that position. Of course, now the greatest tight end in the game, they're saying, is Brock Bowers for the Raiders. So, I mean, it's a pretty awesome division when it comes to tight ends.
Am I wrong? Their rookie year, they're always the best tight end. And I hope I'm wrong about Brock Bowers. I hope I'm wrong about anybody they say it about, but he won't be next year.
But
and
Kyle Pitts, it happened with Pitts. Pitts had a nice rookie season, and we haven't heard, and we just keep waiting for that to happen.
Who was the guy, speaking of tight ends on the Falcons, that guy, he was really good on the Falcons.
Algie Crumpler was another guy. Algie was with Vic. And then, of course, Gonzalez finished there as well. So you'll come back to it. But Geno, before we do that, before we go with tight ends on the Falcons, which is we can go down that path. But
remember, huge bodies, tight end, soft hands. We'll be doing this the whole show.
Why would I ever forget that, Geno?
It's soft. Go on.
I'll never forget that. All right, so
I don't know what you do the rest of the week. Anyway, back to you, Sam.
All right. So there's a game. Not only is there a game, but for purposes of Bettor Believe It and what we do here, what we like to do is we like to give everybody out there a few specific go to the window and spend your money on this. We're not going to tell you 100 bets to make. This is about dissecting a game or a future that we believe in, that we think it's worth throwing money at. Now, whether it's worth throwing 100 at or 50 or $10, you can decide that. But when we look at this game, it was so exciting when I saw Jim Harbaugh announce that Trey Lance, not only was going to start this game, he's going to play 2 full quarters, and he's going to start the third quarter. We are going to see and experience Trey Lance, and probably against the kind of opposition that he wish he could have played his entirety of the Niners career that he had. That's already over, of course, and thank you to Brock Purdy. But we look at this game, a couple things. Yeah, we've got the Chargers +1, money line on the Chargers, the total at 32.5. But Geno, I'd much rather boil down into really just looking at Trey Lance. Now, these numbers may have changed a bit. The passing yards at 49.5. The passing touchdowns at half. I think the interceptions at half as well. Rushing yards, you're looking at here, it says 13.5, but I think we're up to 27.5 on the rushing yards because I think this came out before Jim Harbaugh announced that we would see him for 3 quarters. So when we're talking about Trey Lance, remembering Trey Lance, and for Niner fans, this is not a happy memory, of course, at all, but this will be Trey Lance's showcase game. We may not see him again this season. There's a possibility you could see Trey Lance and then really not again the rest of the season. Here's his game, the first game of the preseason. Geno, if we had to hold you to something, we want people to be able to watch this game tomorrow night. On Thursday night, we want people watching this game with a reason to watch. Please give us all a reason to watch Trey Lance and root for something.
Okay, first of all, it's hard to give you a reason to watch the Hall of Fame game, let alone Trey Lance. If you know who could care less about the Hall of Fame game than the fans? The Hall of Fame. Do you remember like 6 or 7 years ago they had to cancel the game?
Yep.
Not because of COVID, because they used actual paint to paint. I mean, thank God Trump's getting rid of these people. They used actual fucking paint. And then it was like mud, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we used real paint." They're like, "What do you?" No one cares, okay? But this is the beauty of gambling. Gambling makes everyone care, okay? And the other thing that I think of when I think of Trey Lance, you ever heard the old joke? And if you haven't, you haven't seen my set. Have you ever heard the old joke when the team's really bad? They're like, "Hey, I won 2 tickets to a Mets game. First prize. What was second prize? 4 tickets to a Mets game." Okay. And as you know, Sammy, as a Phillies fan, I'm shitting on them, and they're still ahead of us, and we just lost to the White Sox. But What I'm saying is, hey, let me tell you, the last thing you want to brag about is the only thing worse than starting the Hall of Fame game at quarterback is having your coach say, "I'm going to leave him in for 3 quarters because God forbid, there's 15 minutes where someone else can get injured." Okay, so let the record show. I don't know who'd be dumb enough to draft this guy, let alone move up to 3rd to get him. I'm going to let you go on that, Sammy. I'm going to say that he can't win because if he has a shitty game, the Chargers are going to cut him. I'm begging. And if he has a good game, people are going to say it's not going to prove anything other than he does not suck. So with all that said, I don't care what the rushing yards is. If he's playing 3 quarters, he's getting at least 30 yards. And I don't mean 3 10-yard runs. Who's going to tackle him? I heard that at the LA riots. Who's going to tackle him? Who's going to tackle him? So I don't care. I'm taking the over on his rushing yards because I'm telling you, remember the guy we love to make fun of on this show, Anthony Richardson? He could be at the goal line and be like, "I need to come out." Stay the fuck in there. You stay in there.
Geno, I love what you got here. So everybody at your book, which, by the way, as you get closer to game time, this is when these props will be released. You could scour right now and look for the props. It's difficult. Vegas doesn't like to release these props too far ahead of these games because a lot of times you find out guys are in the game and out of the game, and if you're giving away a ticket for a guy who ends up not playing at all those unders are going to cash, and you don't want to bathe in that. So when you find the number, it is likely going to be somewhere between 25 and 29 yards for Trey Lance, the over-under, and Geno likes it. Geno likes it anywhere below 30. He likes taking the over on Trey Lance rushing yards, and frankly, if I heard you right there, Geno, you also like a sprinkle if you can find longest run at over 15 yards, which I bet you can. You love it at that as well. You like one run of about 15 to 20 yards minimum out of Trey Lance in this game on Thursday night.
And I'm going to tell you something else I like. And I'm asking you guys, I'm at the over-under on this game. I think it's like 37.5. Did we see the over?
I think it's 32.5. I think it's lower than that. I really do, Geno. It's not quite. Look, it's 33. Yeah.
Here's why I like the over. And this is me asking, not telling. Okay. like this is none of the starters play. Okay.
Correct.
But when teams draft, let me tell you, they're looking for the next fucking Gibbs. They're looking for the next fucking. I blacked out on Sonic and Knuckles. I had him on my.
Well, that's all right. Let's just say Victor Cruz. Whatever. There are guys that make a name in the preseason, right? There are definitely those guys. Yes.
They're looking for similar players that fit their offense, and these are two high-powered offenses. And again, I don't know who's going to tackle, but you want to sprinkle. Let me tell you, I love the total 32 and a hook. I love the over in this, and for no other reason than that I'm saying, and I'd love your thoughts on they're drafting players, that fit into their system, and these are high-powered offenses. Well, the Chargers are a running offense, but they're still a high-powered offense if they set with Trey Lance trying to set him loose. So I'm telling you, I like the over, and I love the over on rushing yards. Sprinkle on the 15 if the longest run. And let's wet our beaks on the over 33 or more.
I like that a lot. And frankly, it's a showcase for the offenses, as you said. Not to mention the Trey Lance thing that was interesting that you said about cutting Trey Lance. If he plays well, there's also a possibility he's not on this roster because other teams, if anything happens during training camp for another team's quarterback situation, Trey Lance, the Chargers will get calls for him. Just like we said last week about the Browns quarterback room, Trey Lance, there are teams that are still convinced that when you get drafted that high and another team doesn't have to be on the hook for that. So what I'm saying is the Niners will always be on the hook for the fact that they took the risk at the high draft pick for Lance. But anyone else now gets to come in at the greatest bargain of all time. This guy had first-round talent that we didn't have to pay for that we can now have on our roster. That's the beauty of getting Trey Lance after the fact. And one thing, Brock Purdy, every Niners fan who thinks Brock Purdy doesn't deserve the money he has, he bailed you the fuck out from Trey Lance. The amount of draft stock you gave away to get Trey Lance, and you drafted Brock Purdy with the last, we talked about undrafted Antonio Gates. Brock Purdy's one pick away from not being drafted at all. He's your franchise quarterback. He's played in 2 NFC championship games. He's played in a Super Bowl in overtime against Patrick Mahomes. Thank you, Brock Purdy, is what every Niners fan should say for the memory of Trey Lance.
Can I add something to that? Because it plays off of that. If you don't, and this is why Trey Lance is done. Because, like I've said this, like when you move up to get a player and that player's a bust, it sets you back, okay? Trey Lance, they moved up to get him. He wasn't a bust. And then, you know who told him he was a bust? Not years and years of play. The last pick in the draft 2 years later. His confidence is shot. Am I wrong?
It is so right, and we will see in this game. If anyone can turn Trey Lance into something, you would think it's Jim Harbaugh, and here's that opportunity. He'll have it in the Hall of Fame game. We'll see if there's another one of those preseason games that we get a sniff of Trey Lance, and then I would say his best chance at seeing the field will be that another team has an injury at quarterback during the preseason, and they go after Trey Lance to start a couple of games to get their season off on the right foot. Brig, before we move on, anything from this game that you'll be wanting to see? I mean, obviously it's going to have all the bells and whistles of Thursday Night Football. It's going to start and feel like a real game. And of course, 20 seconds into the game, you're going to forget all that. But what do you think?
Everyone is fighting to make the team at this point that's going to be playing in this game. That's what I was trying to chirp in there these last 2 seconds. But the reality is that those fireworks that go off early and those moves that are made and just anybody trying to make the team is going to be making plays early. And I will tell you, there is something to be said still for the first organized game to be played for the year in a Hall of Fame background and I know the Hall of Famers don't, with San Diego players going in the Hall of Fame. I just think there might be just a little sizzle, guys making plays, but all those over absolutely speak for themselves because of what I just said. So yes, thank you for letting me fire that cannon point off.
I love it. I love it so much. All right, so now let's take. Now we're gonna turn our attention to the future. All right, so we've got a game that we got to dig into, which is great. But the beauty of Bettor Believe It is we like to marinate on bets that you can sit with that ticket for months and pretend you're gonna win. That's the most fun. Geno, you know that, right? You go to Vegas. When you go to Vegas and make a bet and hold on to the ticket, I love holding on to the ticket that I've got months to just dream about it, right? An MVP ticket that you buy in the first week of the Major League Baseball season, and you get to sit on that and just or again a World Series when you buy one of those tickets in April. That's the beauty of holding on to something and having to wait until October for it. So we're talking now.
You said something too about it. You really made a funny point about justifying to your wife, and I think that's speech to the metrosexual people that should be tuning in, right? The
Yes.
Tampa crowd. So you said this is something. It's a show you can justify to your wife. Is also the essence, right? You could say, I made this bet because these three crazy bastards said so. They made sense somehow. You know what I mean? It's like the program director having to have the tape of the guy they got on the air that said, fuck you. You know what I mean?
And Brig, the beauty of it is you can tell your significant other, no, this is an investment. This isn't a bet. This is an investment. This isn't a look, we only paid, look what the ticket says. I only paid $100 for this. It says $850 on it. I paid $100. It's worth $850.
Nothing, Jerry. I bet about nothing.
And then when it starts to go south, you got 3 months to never mention it.
Ever. What do you mean? What are you talking about? $100. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? I would never do that. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. All right, so we've got the Chargers and the Lions here. We're going to take a look at the future, the over-under on wins for these two teams. Now, Geno, last week we took a deep dive into the Chargers, but I want to remind everybody, we'll put it up here and take a look at what the Chargers numbers are for this season, and we're looking at the over-under on wins at 9.5. We'll take a look at the schedule here shortly, but Geno, just remind everyone, we can go quickly on this. We'll get to the Lions very soon, but for the Chargers, 9.5 wins. Do they get to 10? Are you looking at 9? Where do we stand on the Chargers for this 2025 season?
We went over this game by game last week, you recall, and I said, even though I had them starting like 4-0, I said they're going to split with the Chiefs, they're going to split with the Broncos. I mean, the right side of their, the left side of their schedule is very soft. Okay, and when we got done, we weren't sitting at 10, we were sitting at 11. And in gambler speak, and we're going to do this with Detroit, in gambler speak, that's a huge cushion. That's a huge cushion, okay? There were a lot of games where I'm like, just because I think they should beat the Steelers, but if you recall, we gave the Steelers that game. Even though Aaron Rodgers, to quote my father, one of my favorite lines of his was he doesn't know whether to shit or go blind. Okay, that's like now he's like, oh, maybe I'll play another season. And look, we get it. He needs to just become an announcer. I find it very engaging. He was ahead of the curve. The curb, Brig, on the vaccines and stuff. And he was a leader when it came to that. So just play your last season.
Dispensary quarterback, for God's sakes, right? The first quarterback you would actually see inside a dispensary buying weed for himself. He didn't have his assistant do it, right? Or one of his wide receivers. He was the first you ever saw in a dispensary. So Aaron Rodgers, give him props for that. And he'd be a great announcer.
So, Geno, I'm going to remind everybody, you love Chargers over the 9.5 wins, and the way you went through this schedule last week, for those that didn't see it, go and watch the episode from last week. Geno basically treated this like the Chargers were being run by Norv Turner instead of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, you went through it and gave them Norv Turner
that was the most hurtful compliment I've ever gotten. That's such a compliment, but it was such a dig. Oh, by the way, you're doing so much better since your girlfriend left you. You understand? That's
You broke my heart, Fredo.
That is fantastic.
You know what? Now that you're sober since your DUI, you really have your shit together.
All right, Chargers was an easy one. We got to 10. This one's a little steeper now. And, Geno, you're going to have a lot to say about this next one because your Bears are there, and if they expect to do something interesting this season, the Lions are not going to coast again to the 1 seed. So let's take a look when it comes to the Lions. Lions, stiffer number, 10.5. This is the 1 seed. They're coming off a 15-win regular season. Of course, they didn't get a postseason win. They lost to the Commanders in that divisional round. But Lions coming off a 15-win campaign. Now looking at 10.5 wins. Remember, we had 3 playoff teams from this division. So that goes to show you that division, they're not sweeping the division as the Lions here most likely. But 10.5, can you get there? Do we like over or under? And again, this requires a lot of thought because you got to place the Lions within the playoff structure, right? Do you see the Lions there? Are they going to be vying for the 1 seed? Are they going to win the division? 10.5 means you got to see them at 11 wins. At 11 wins, they're likely to win a division. They're likely to be in play for the 1 seed for most of the season. Where do you like this, Geno? We'll put the schedule up in a second, but the Lions to get over 10.5 is no walk in the park.
No. And the thing about it is, go back to that 10.5 because I just want to be staring at the number when I say this because you said it, okay? There's something about the phrase that always comes to mind when you see lines like this: 15-win team. This is going to be easy. And it's the phrase. That's Vegas. That's just what they think we won't do. You know what I mean? Because there's two ways to look at it. Obviously, they're going to go over. They won 15 last year. And then there's the guy that knows the opposite. Oh, I'll never forget a game, I bet, where it was a Thursday night game and it was the Patriots versus the Bears, and the line was ridiculous. I'm like, this is screaming. You know what I mean? Well,
Yes.
Like the line is screaming, as I said in Geno's Picks once. The line is crying. The line is crying, take the Bears. And I'm like, no, the line was crying, take the Patriots, and lines don't cry, except the lines outside of Planned Parenthood on Christmas Eve. But I'm telling you.
And they sob. Boy,
And they sob. And that's the other thing. It's like, well, obviously they think we're all going to go over, so I'm going to bet the under. But this is why I'm not only going to bet the under. I'm going to tell you they're going to win 10 games. I'm going to tell you they're going to win. They're going to win 10 games this year. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there's a team called the Eagles. You may have heard of them, and they were pretty good. And then they kept getting close, and after a while, you know what happens? The people get sick of getting close because they're getting close to they're being offered close to $1 billion, and then you leave. So the Eagles lost their OC and defensive coordinator, and I remember this, but I read it in the article. And then they lost 6 of their last 7, and they got owned by the Bucs. Well, that's what Detroit just did. They just lost their offensive and defensive coordinator, and that's a big hit. Okay, that's a big hit. So look, let's go through it. Okay. And again, I'm going to say this. I'm going to generously give them a split with the Packers, because that's become a fucking rivalry.
No, that's a rock fight. That's a rock fight. No, that is an absolute rock fight. And the Packers, let's remember this. The Packers also have a salty taste in their mouth. The Packers lost both games to the Vikings.
Speaking of salty taste in their mouth. Oh, strong hands.
Think about this. Geno.
Those coaches are so similar with LaFleur and the Detroit coach. You're like two young guys matching it out. So they just, it's so bitter right now because it's young blood facing off against LaFleur. Is nobody's fool. That's a hell of a coach, Green Bay.
And the Packers couldn't beat the Vikings or the Lions last season and still made the playoffs despite that. So that know that they're thinking about, wow, if we could just barely change that a little, we would be vying for this division and we would have a playoff game, not on the road, but maybe we could host one. So the Packers are going to play this thing differently, but keep going there, Geno.
Okay, so let's start them with a loss against the Packers, because again, Jordan Love coming out party. It's like, look, this is Jordan Love week 1 with the good knee, and he's going to remember last year they sent him to fucking Brazil. I love the pack. Yeah, I love the pack there. Okay, the only way the Bears win in week 2, and I mean, I don't mean this in a mean way. Well, maybe a little bit mean because they cost me fucking money on Thanksgiving. Fuck them. But you know what I mean? Like your boy Cowherd said it, and I can't stress it enough. No starters playing the preseason anymore. The first 2 weeks of the regular season have become like the preseason. It's a crapshoot. But I'm telling you, Caleb Williams, he's not playing in the preseason. And if anyone should, other than Trey Lance, it's him. So I'm going to give him a win there. So now they're 1-1. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't even know what the record is because I lost count. Do you know what Lamar Jackson's record is against the NFC?
I know it's got a 1 at the end of it. I'm sorry, it has 2 now. He lost the Eagles last season, but that was his second loss to the NFC only.
Every fucking single game he's played against them and 2.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I think that's by the way, and it's 20 something. This is not. It's a larger sample size than you think. It's 20 something and 2.
Yeah. Okay. So again, the Ravens take that game, right? Okay. Now they travel to the Browns. Let's not waste their time. Okay. Let's not waste people's time. I'll say it again. Shador Sanders. They retired his number not because of nepotism. They retired Shador Sanders' number because he went 13-12 and almost won the Alamo Bowl. Oh my God, fucking Shane Gillis. All right, Bengals.
What a resume.
Okay, watch this. This is how I look at this one. Bengals, Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings. They're getting 1 win there. They're getting 1 win there.
Yeah.
That's like, you ever do that? Like, I don't know what, but okay, watch this. They beat the Bengals. Okay, well they should, but then the Chiefs are going to kill them. They can't take on the Bucks. And if JJ works out, I'm telling you, I'm giving them. You do get what I'm saying. Watch this. They lose to the Bengals. They lose to the Chiefs. They sneak one against the Bucks because what does your boy Colin say? It's hard to beat a desperate team. But if they beat the Bengals, they ain't desperate. So right now they go through those 4 and they go 1-3. I'm sorry. They go 1-3. You know? Okay. Now they got the Commanders. That's a tough loss. They got the Eagles. That's a tough loss. They got the Giants. Boom. They deserve one against the Packers. We're not talking about the Cowboys, are we?
It's interesting. The Cowboys. I mean, we'll do this. We will have the Cowboys plenty of times. We at Better Believe It. We will talk about the Cowboys a lot because I still think they're such an enigma. And here's why, Gino. What's interesting about the Cowboys for a show like this is the way people want to throw money and believe. Our best shot at convincing people, and we can either to steer them away or into this, but people love to buy the hype of George Pickens, buy the hype of how good Dak's going to look, buy the hype of running backs running through people in shorts. The Cowboys get a lot of money thrown their way because people assume that they will be there in the end. And more often, and I'm not exactly going to say they're not. And again, this division doesn't just get back-to-back winners. So the Cowboys, I don't know. I mean, Week 14's right about the time that the Cowboys are either convincing everyone they're in it or not. So
it's short rest. It's a week, and watch this. I'll play your game. They're coming off short rest. It's a Thursday night game. Anything could fucking happen.
And Thursday is always a crapshoot. Look at their.
Although remember, I'm going to say this much. I just want to remind everyone, it's not technically short rest. Remember, because the Lions and Cowboys both play on Thanksgiving, so it will be a Thursday followed by a Thursday game for them. Just remind everyone.
Those are always crapshoots, though, Sam. Thursday can go either way. You know.
And remember, the last time the Cowboys and Lions played, remember that was the ineligible lineman.
Yes.
Who caught the ball in the end zone. They absolutely beat the Cowboys in that game, and instead it was called back. I believe that was a Christmas game 2 years ago. So everyone remembers that one, and that was a rough one. But yeah, so that should be a close game. It's a great one. Keep going, Gino.
Okay, so I got them beating the Cowboys. I have them beating the Rams. I do. I just like
the Stafford Bowl. The Stafford Bowl.
Exactly. The Stafford versus Goff, and Goff's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. And I think, and thanks for reminding me, like, it's more, you watch this game, like, who is this more of a fuck you to? And let me tell you, you know what I mean? Like Stafford's like, I don't mind the Lions. They were good to me. Goff's like, fuck you. I got you to a Super Bowl. Fuck you.
I want to remind everybody this also. Everyone says, oh, you know, what a shame it was that Stafford came in and did something that Goff never could because Goff lost in that ugly, ugly Super Bowl to the Patriots. And, of course, Stafford beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
And the NFC Championship game, Sammy, was a joke against New Orleans. He knows he lost that. You know what I mean? That went the Rams' way. That was
Roby Coleman. But Goff did get to a Super Bowl and lose one. But I'll say this much. So, yes, Stafford won a Super Bowl with the Rams, which Goff could not. Can I remind everyone this, as tremendous as Stafford was with his Lions career? Do you know what Stafford never did with the Lions?
Win a playoff game.
Correct, Brig.
Ever.
And Goff has obviously now done that. Goff has taken this team to I would say, NFC Championship and a half. I mean, if you did the halftime of that game, they were feeling pretty good in that NFC Championship in San Francisco.
God.
But yeah, so Goff has won playoff games for this franchise that Stafford could not. So I do want to say, as one-sided as you may think it is, Goff has really set the tone. As far as being a Super Bowl favorite, that is something the Lions could never say when Stafford was their quarterback.
And again, it's all coaching, Sammy. Coaching.
Yes. So, Gino, keep rolling here with that Rams. I love that Goff Stafford game every year. I love that it's been on the schedule every time.
Yes.
Obviously, Steelers.
Sorry.
Steelers at this point, remember, Favre, forgive me, Favre, same thing, that mess. Rodgers is like the betting ticket we talked about with the wife, like, hopefully no one remembered when I said I might play another year. This is a disaster. I apologize. They win that game. They take the Vikings only because they're going to split, you know, and I didn't give them a win.
I like that. No, it's good. It's good. It's good when you look at a schedule for everyone that likes to go through and say win-loss. Before you do that, notice what Gino's doing, and I do this also. Tell yourself before you jump into the actual schedule game by game, tell yourself what you think the team will be in the division. Go ahead and take 6 games off and just say they're going to be 4-2, they're going to be 3-3, they're going to sweep the division. Tell yourself that ahead of time because those games are different. We know that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then of course I've got him beating the Bears again. I am not big on your Bears, Brig. I'm sorry. And I don't know. I lost track if that's
I will say this now. I'm going to get into this. Don't we think it's a good thing? We watch the NFL closely, gentlemen, but all three of us do. What Ben Johnson did going off on that offense, going off now. I will tell you something from other sports. He kicked everybody off. He kicked Caleb Williams in the face and said, you need to do this, yelled at them. I think, thank God now, and that's going to be a sign, kind of like Kirk Gibson yelling at the Dodgers in spring training in 1988. Or remember Jim Leland going off on Barry Bonds in 19. It's sending a message early, and he's a young coach. He's taking the bull by the horns, Michael Jordan, and I think that's a hell of a good sign. We'll see, Biscotti. I could be wrong, but I'll tell you what. I think they have the Bears are the best set up for success going into 2025 on paper, and with that move as well. I'm biased, but I love it. I can't help but love that.
Yeah, maybe they can dig up Leland when they're when they're fucking 2-8 in week 10. Maybe they can dig it up.
You're smoking cigarettes in the dugout. I love how Jim Leland would smoke those cigarettes.
Maybe they could just have a guy with a pack of Camels try and give your motivational speech. They stink. You know how much money they cost me on Thanksgiving? I'm hanging out with my family, and it's like I'm Krusty the Clown going, grab it. He's spinning it on his finger.
You had to feel good, Geno. You had to feel good, though, as someone who, if you were a Bears fan that was emotionally invested that day on Thanksgiving when they blew that game by not even getting a play.
I'm right here. I felt great, Sam. It felt fucking great.
Right here.
Oh my God! You know what it's like? It was like Brad Pitt in Seven. That's what I felt like. And the Bears are Gwyneth's head. That's what the fuck it felt like.
Getting fired on Thanksgiving is a pretty good payback. If you hated that move and hated that coaching staff and hated Caleb Williams in that moment, getting your coach fired on Thanksgiving is a pretty big power move. I mean, that says forget it. I mean, the Hail Mary was one thing, which was a fucking catastrophe. But what happened there without getting a playoff was just inexcusable. In a league that has seen Dak Prescott do that in a playoff game, to have that happen on Thanksgiving Day that way, that was rough.
And we got to say this, guys. Sam, you're an LA guy. Geno, you're a New York guy. Eberflus was lost in the lights of Chicago. And if you're lost in the lights of Chicago, I know it's a big football market, probably the biggest, but he could not even communicate like a human being that was talking specifically and literally about his team. He was lost. So that's why they got rid of him. He just looked so awful. His body language was dead man walking from Jump Street, Johnny Depp.
It'll be a tough road back for Eberflus. He will get a coordinator job again at some point. He'll certainly be a position coach at some point again, but that's tough. That's a rough way to go out. But Geno, that's got to feel good. So we're basically saying Lions here under 10.5. I think we can get him to 10. I think you've got him at 10 here, but 10.5 means you got to win 11. You got to be sniffing 12 here, and that is just it will not be. We know the Lions aren't sneaking up on anybody anymore, and I want to be fair. Lamar Jackson, by the way, 24-4 against the NFC, but that is a spectacular number. That's a spectacular number. Okay, so you're right about that. And by the way, last time Lions and Ravens played, this was 2 seasons ago. It was a boat race. The Ravens eviscerated the Lions 2 seasons ago. So that was so I like your pick there. All right, so we've got the Lions under, the Chargers over on the win total. And now I want to just kind of get out of the way because it's been, as much as we love to have fun here, and as much as this is a positive moment in the end to remember these glory days for the Cubs. Yes, and thank you. Yeah, we got to mix the drink for this one. Brig, I want to kind of get out of your way here and let you wax poetically here. I mean, Ryan Sandberg, an absolute Cubs legend. I mean, look, the Cubs, what's amazing about the Cubs franchise is that there are so many legends that have nothing to do with the World Series team. Because remember that the Cubs are so synonymous with losing, right? So you're talking about Andre Dawson and and Ryan Sandberg. Yes, even Greg Maddux gets credit for being a Cubs legend, right? You have Cubs players that are legendary in that season that have, and of course Sosa, that have nothing to do with winning at all. And we define players now. Again, the bar is always set at winning a championship or bust. That's why everyone's complaining. But the Cubs had to define success in different ways. And winning the World Series, I always say, was the toughest because it's such an elite group that makes it to the playoffs. Now, Manfred made it a little easier, but still, getting to the playoffs, getting to the World Series is a massive accomplishment. Winning it all just does not happen so much as to fall your way. But the Cubs were synonymous with losing and yet had incredible heroes in baseball. Ryan Sandberg was and still is certainly one of those, but we did lose Ryan Sandberg this week. And Brig, before we get to the betting angle on the Cubs, I just want to give you a moment to just let everybody know who Ryan Sandberg is in that city and what he means to that community.
Well, Sam, and it's brilliant that we're all talking to the three of us because he is connected deeply to all three of us, you two specifically, because he started off in 1981 as a Philly. And Dallas Green, who, as you both know very well, managed the Phillies to the 1980 World Championship, then became the GM for the Chicago Cubs in 1981. And he made it when they traded and got Ryan Sandberg. He went out of his way to make that happen. He saw something in Ryan Sandberg. So he was a Philly-forged discovery, Philly championship discovery out of that oven. sent to Chicago in 1982. And here's the other brilliant, beautiful thing about Ryan Sandberg is he shared his timeline synonymously with Harry Carey. Harry Carey was hired by WGN in 1982. Ryan Sandberg was acquired in January, yes, Biscotti, of 1997.
I did not know that. I love it. Yeah.
He stayed until 1997. Ryan Sandberg retired in 1997. Harry Carey was going to stay after the 97. He died in February of 1998. So they were together for 15 years. And I said, this is a fun pop culture comparison. You know, I do that better than anybody else, and so as I think. But they were like a nicer version, Harry Carey and Ryan Sandberg, like a kinder version. Here's a pop culture reference to a nicer version of Joe Don Baker and Robert Duvall in The Natural. They were like, he was like, this is my guy, the Whammer, but he was Rhino, you know, kind of like that kind of energy. And I will tell you, it really rubbed Joe Morgan the wrong way. And Joe Morgan never really. So that's where the beef started with Harry Carey saying, "Oh, Joe Morgan, you were great, but look at Ryan Sandberg and his flowing locks." The right people loved Ryan Sandberg and waxed poetically about him. Vin Scully loved him and said, "Prince Valiant now coming to the plate, and if your mother and sister have any interest in this game, it's right now." You know, he would paint it like that. Ryan Sandberg was synonymous with Harry Carey, and I will tell you something else: 2 division championships for the Cubs. 84 and 89 when Ryan Sandberg became a member of that franchise. 84, he batted .314, had 19 triples and 19 home runs. 5 years later, he batted .290 with 30 home runs. They won 93 games in 89, 96 in 84, so he changed the dynamic of who he was to become that player. And just defensively spectacular, 10 gold gloves, and so amazing. And I will say this lastly, I feel as though had he been surrounded with more talent consistently, he would be more like Stan Musial with who he was. But he was so consistent that way that not enough can be said about him. He's connected to all of us, and sail on Rhino, gone far too soon at 65. So,
well, Geno, we can raise we can raise our glasses here, fellas. Certainly to Ryan Sandberg, and just like I said, legendary Cubs who have nothing to do with 2016 and that championship. And it's worth remembering because that really is when baseball was truly America's pastime. When people were when people had a fever for baseball cards. I mean, just Ryan Sandberg goes back to certainly our youth in a way. And you know, how many kids had Ryan Sandberg as a poster on their wall? I mean, Ryan Sandberg really helped define that era of baseball. And it's a shame.
Brewster, for God's sake.
Exactly. No, he was. He entered pop culture, like you said, probably because of Harry Carey as well. And I want to remind everyone also, he was very open and honest with his battle with cancer as well, which was beautiful towards the end.
Very brave.
Yes. So with that, we now make the very difficult transition, but we are here at Bettor Believe It to also talk about how you can make smart bets. And let's take a look.
I just want to say this because Biscotti, how much do things like that, a Huckleberry, enter the equation, do you think? I don't mean Huckleberry, I mean the feather in Dumbo's cap. You know what I mean? Something happens on a championship team. And I will say one thing. There was I forget his name, the Spider gentleman that died for the 86 Giants going into training camp. I think that's but they had his, and I always thought that was a huge motivating factor for Phil Simms, Lawrence Taylor, and Bill Parcells in the fall of 86. So what's your
That's a great point. No.
Context of those kind of things, even a little under the radar.
No. You know, are you crazy? How great will it be for them to put 23 on their jersey and have every millennial be like, why is Michael Jordan
Chicago? Yeah, they're like Chicago makes sense. Yeah, Chicago makes sense.
Get off his jersey. Yes.
But here we go. So, Geno,
by the way, I would like to apologize because I had the over on Ryan Sandberg at 68 years. I apologize.
We can tear that ticket up now officially. Everybody, tell your wife that the investment did not cash out the way you wanted it to.
Look, I laugh at dark shit because it is heartbreaking what happened to this guy. Like, I grew up, remember, being a Phillies fan, and you're watching him go nuts. You're like, fuck you. We have Steve Jelks. So, it is sad. And my cousin, who grew up across the street from me but moved to Chicago, he's the one that told me. I really felt for him. He's like, we lost him. I didn't even realize how bad it was because I was in denial, I guess. I didn't realize he had it that bad. But what was your question? How can we make money on this?
No, not necessarily how can we make money on it, but now that we look at it, let's put the entire thing in perspective. The Cubs organization will certainly mourn this, but the Cubs are going to have a season that can be remembered. It can be remembered simply for that was the year we lost Ryan Sandberg, or will it be that was the year we lost Ryan Sandberg, and wound up in the World Series again. I mean, could it be that? Could we see something special? This is not a Cubs season going nowhere. This is another Cubs season that could be etched in history. Yes, they've got some pretty mammoth teams in their way, but this Cubs team will be in the postseason, barring an epic, ridiculous collapse. Is there anything here? Is it worth throwing some cash here on the Cubs? I love it, Geno. Tell us where and how.
And I will take this back to another former Cub where I made you some money, a kid by the name of Schwarbaum. Okay?
Love it.
Did you see what the Cubs did the day he passed? Am I crazy, or did they beat some team they don't even have beef with? The Cardinals.
Yes.
In extra innings. If you don't think this is a put the 23 patch on, rally around, and we talked about this earlier, bet the division -1. First of all, don't waste your money risking 5 for the playoffs because they're the Cubs and they can only fuck you with that. If you're going to bet them to win the division, fucking just put the bet inside, wrap it around, and take them to win the pennant. Take them to strap that 23 on and rally around. It's little big league all over again, and they're going to storm the castle. And like, how can you not root for a team like the Cubs? Because when it
forward, and here's I need to say this too. This is why the show's the best. We cannot forget. I'm going to mention this. The Yankees broke their postseason drought from 1981 to 1995. The same year, Mickey Mantle died from having too many cocktails. So that 95, the Yankees finally go to the postseason after they had the 7 on the jersey. So you know what I mean.
And
so
let me ask you,
there's a history of that reality happening, guys.
And let me ask you a simple question. They win the division, right? The Cubs win the division. They're not going to mention Ryan Sandberg at all. Oh, they're not. It's not going to be all over the media. They're not going to be getting to quote Mr. Burns, every Johnny Lunch. I don't know about you, but if the Phillies aren't in at that point, I'm the biggest Cubs fan in the world. And they are going to have so much mo, not the kind you're thinking of. That guy will call you the biggest mo. They're going to have more momentum. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's a feel-good story. And this is what I said about Schwarber. This is the kind of bet that even if you lose, it's going to be one of the funnest bets you made. Yes. Especially if you fucking have a soft spot for Ryan Sandberg, which a lot of everyone in this fucking chat does. So that's the bet. Plus 600 on the pennant, and put a little 23 in the corner of your ticket, and then just sit back and let the money roll in. You weren't going to send your kid to college anyway, Sammy. Throw that money. Come on.
Well, here's the beauty of it. The beauty of it also, Geno, here's what's nice about having a futures baseball bet like this that's tied to the postseason. You mentioned it, Geno. They're not going to mention Ryan Sandberg when they clinch a spot. Baseball is the one sport where every round is truly celebrated. In other sports, there's a lot of hold on to your hat until you're in it and win it all, right? Maybe if you get to the Stanley Cup final, if you get to the Super Bowl, yes, you can celebrate at that point. But baseball will clinch a playoff spot, champagne. Clinch a division, champagne. Yes. Win an NLDS, champagne. Win an NLCS, champagne. Win the World Series if you're lucky enough, champagne again. Those goggles are out a lot. So if you've got that Cubs ticket, you'll get to put the goggles on at least once for the division and for the playoff clinch, and you'll be able to celebrate and jump and tell your wife that investment is looking very nice. Plus 600 is great. And now, because we just bet a little bit on baseball, I just want to remind everybody for the biggest story in baseball for this week.
We didn't invent betting on baseball.
No, we didn't. So if you are a Guardians fan,
that's the best segue we've had yet. Four episodes, best segue yet. I'm drinking to you, Sammy. Come on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Geno. If you know the name Emmanuel Clase, who is a fantastic closer in baseball, and certainly if you're a Guardians fan, you're well aware of Clase. Clase has been suspended indefinitely for betting on baseball. In the year that we let Pete Rose now be eligible for the Hall of Fame, finally, Clase is burned for betting on the game. There's an investigation going on right now, but I simply wanted to get out of the way and let you two just chew on the fact that we've got an active Major League Baseball player who is betting on the game. And again, this is what you open yourself up to once betting becomes legal. Look, the greatest player in the game of all time is embroiled in a gambling scandal. Shohei Ohtani, whatever we want to believe between his best friend and translator and what happened there with the money that was transferred, all right, maybe he didn't know, maybe he was funding the whole thing, whatever. He got out of the way, won a World Series, won an MVP, went 50-50. Good for him. He put it behind him. But Class A is not at a Shohei Ohtani level. This will follow him. And now the Guardians are probably going to have to pick somebody up at the trade deadline and do something significant because they're also pushing to get into the playoffs as well. But what an amazing story for baseball to have this. Just when you thought you had everything buttoned up and steroids is not an issue, now perhaps we've got a gambling issue in baseball, which, by the way, if gambling's legal, then gambling's legal. That's the way I see it. If gambling's legal, if you want to put money on yourself, if you want to put more pressure on yourself to go out there and win, I'm all for it. If you're tanking games and trying to lose, of course, that's another story. But if you're betting to win and you want to put that pressure on yourself, I say go for it.
And Sammy, you just told my thunder because this kid is doing exactly that. Class A, I don't know if he's Pete Rose's son illegitimately from somewhere, but I will tell you what, he's got the spirit of Charlie Hustle inside of him because he's betting on himself. He's a
degenerate gambler. That's the spirit.
He's 27 years old. He's at the top of his game. And I'll tell you what, those guys, there is no bigger fantasy football players than Major League Baseball players. Those guys love to gamble all day. So you think sooner or later, I mean, more certainly sooner, they're going to jump the line and start betting on themselves. And I'll tell you what, I saw the Pete Rose interview with Jim Gray. And when in 2001, when Pete is asked specifically, did you bet on it? He won't even let him finish the question. Absolutely, I did not bet again. He bet on himself. This guy, you can just tell he's betting on himself every time. I love it, but for God's sake, there has to be more defined rules because you can bet on fantasy football in the NFL. Sooner or later, I mean, it's just for God's sake.
But Brig, my question is,
boys, sooner or later, Bisconti, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. My question is, do you know what he bet on? Like, are you saying if he only bet on himself to win, that's fine. But this is the difference I'm asking. But I would argue when Pete Rose bet on baseball, you're like, all right, he's betting with a bookie, old school, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this Class A guy doing other than committing a Class A felony? What is this Class A guy doing? Is he on? We talked about it. Is he on the fucking gambling app like it's Candy Crush and you do an 8 and not a 7 leg, not an 8 leg, not a 9 leg parlay, an 8 and give me 8 strikes and so is he doing that or is he like did someone check how he did this year? If there was some night when he gave up 8 runs in the 9th inning and blew a fucking save or something, I don't know what it is.
Ball test, but if you look at this guy's numbers, he has. I mean, it's like he's betting on himself all the goddamn time. Now he's not going last Boy Scout on the mound, Biscotti. He's not shooting other players. He's not getting death. That'd be great to see, isn't it? A baseball version of last Boy Scout.
I don't know that it would.
I will tell you what though. This guy, you could just tell. Read the story, and this guy's bet. I don't think I think he's betting on himself completely.
Well, we will look. This investigation will happen, and the beauty about what we get today is this information will come out. There will be a beautiful expose on the whole thing, and we will know the truth. The truth does come out in these things. It already is out in some way that he is under investigation. So this information will find us. All right. So with all of that, let's take a look back at what we want everybody to do here. We actually, with all the fun that we've had, we've also
great show, Sam. I love Sam as the captain. Great job, Ken.
I love it. Thank you both.
I
for
want
being
to
here.
apologize. Somebody in the chat wrote, shout out Cal Patty. Thanks for being here. Someone in the chat wrote, what's the schedule for this? It's Tuesdays, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
I was the problem this week. I was coming back from a trip. Thank you two for fluctuating, but let's always shoot for Tuesday nights. And thank you to my wife for bending her schedule for me as well.
Yes, we love a bending wire. Yes,
we love the flexibility, Kiki. We love the
Thank you, Kiki. Thank you so much. All right, so let's remind everybody. Kiki, thank you again. All right, here's what we go. Now, I want to remind everyone. Here's what we want to do. All right, so we just raised a glass to Ryan Sandberg and the Cubs. Geno wants you to put $100 on the Cubs to win the pennant. That'll win you 600, 700 coming back at you. That's the kind of investment your wife wants to hear you made 100 to win 700. All right, but
my wife does not want to hear I made that.
A nice spiritual sprinkle on the Cubs to win the pennant. In
I
regards
love your iteration, Sam. Yes, I think the MVP of that series is Kyle Tucker. I think they keep Kyle Tucker and he's the MVP. I would say that add that bet on. he's the MVP of the NLCS. I just want to. I love
And
the
again,
alliteration.
and again, to win the pennant, you're going to have to get through the Dodgers, and we know that is a tall task right now. But perhaps little angels in the outfield with Ryan Sandberg, it can happen. All right, now to Thursday Night Football, which, yes, by the way, all the wives that are shuddering at the idea that I just said Thursday Night Football, and I'm not talking about something that's happening in a month. It's happening in hours. There is Thursday Night Football happening in mere hours. Trey Lance, for all of you that shudder at the thought of Trey Lance, anyone that was a Niners fan when they drafted Trey Lance and then watched him do absolutely nothing and give birth essentially to the magic that is Brock Purdy now. But Trey Lance, Geno loves the over 27.5. That's rushing yards. I didn't write on there.
I love it.
27
You
and a half.
don't?
No, I love it. I love it too.
I love
so
it
if
too.
if you can find it, Geno even likes it up to 29.5. I'm writing it here in the chat. Trey Lance over 27.5.
Once they hit 30, I'm out. Once they hit
That's
30,
it.
I'm out.
That's all right. That's okay. And remember, Trey's going to play 2 quarters and into the second half. All right, so he could have one rushing yard heading into halftime, and then he could bust it all on one play. Because, by the way, remember this: after halftime, he's playing against even worse competition. Remember, right? Exactly. So look, it's second string, right? Second string at best to start this game. By the time you hit the third quarter, you're looking at third stringers. So he could really do something there. So don't throw that ticket away at halftime. There's still some magic left. All right, so we love Trey Lance, the over on the rushing yards. Now we're going season totals on regular season wins. Geno for 2 weeks in a row is telling you Chargers over the 9.5. And I'd say this much: if there's going to be any steam building on that, get that ticket in now, just in case something happens over there. I mean, look, we don't like to talk about injuries, but what if something happens to the Chiefs? That number will change significantly. Chargers over 9.5. You can get it right now. Lions, however, 15-2 Lions from last season, 15-3 with that divisional loss, but 15-2 regular season Lions last season. Geno's got 10 wins for the Lions this season. That is under. So we're going Trey Lance over the rushing total for Thursday Night Football. Chargers over the 9.5 regular season wins. Lions under the 10.5 wins. And the Cubs, sprinkle some on the Cubs to win the pennant and represent the NL in the World Series. Those are your picks right there. Chargers over. I'm writing it in the chat. Lions under. And then we've got the Cubs to win the pennant. And that is everything we think you should do. And please like and subscribe. This is Brigham Avery Productions. That's the channel that you're watching right now. And this is what we're going to try to do on Tuesdays, everybody. We're going to try to do this on Tuesdays, all right?
Yes.
But thank you so much. And I know that Geno at the jump, he's got something else going on as well.
Geno has a witness relocation meeting.
Exactly. That's quite all right. But let me tell you something. Look, and look just like this, he's back. I mean, that's it. I mean, yeah. He's right back. It's all right.
Apologize.
That's all right. Look, Geno, it's okay.
What are we doing on I don't give a fuck. On Tuesday's episode, tell me more.
Tuesdays, we're doing this. We will be back with more. And by the way, we'll have a full NFL preseason slate to talk about next week when we're here. So we'll pick apart some more of those as well. We love you all. Thank you so much for listening. This is Better Believe It. Like and subscribe at Brigham Avery Productions. And you're checking us out on Instagram Live as well. And Geno, I know you got us rumbling on Rumble as well.
It's on my Rumble page.
Yes. So thank you for bringing everybody here. For Brigham Avery, for Geno's Picks, Geno Bisconte, I am Sam and Sammy Batesh on Twitter. Thank you so much. And we will absolutely see you next time at Better Believe It.
Sail on, Sandberg. Sail